in today is Dustin Harris, who is an extension assistant with OSU. And Dustin, we're going to talk about armyworms today. What do we need to know about armyworms?
Well, they are a larvae of the fall armyworm moth, and those are normally a light brown winged moth, normally 1.5 inch wingspan.
Okay.
And then they'll have a lighter colored back pair of wings on them.
Okay. And is it the moth that we're worried about, or we're worried more about the larvae?
Well, you'll see the moth a lot more often than you actually do the larvae, just because they are common and they like to inhabit small bushes and stuff like that. So you probably see them and don't realize it a lot of times. But the larvae is actually what will cause the damage and will feed on the above ground structures on turf grass.
Okay, so what's kind of the timeline that they will be feeding on our turf?
Generally, the larvae will come out of the ground and start feeding in early July, but normally the problem continues to develop and actually becomes noticeable once you reach September, somewhere in that time frame.
Okay, and when you say noticeable, what are we noticing in September?
A lot of times you can either see basically down to bare ground, or you can see where it's just minor damage, where you'll see some whitening of the tips where the plant material is actually dying off. But with most of your grasses, it will be able to regenerate. The ones that you'd be more concerned with are the types that are not really very good recuperative ability anyways, like your cool season grasses.
Okay, so they typically will go for Bermuda grass, but Bermuda grass, as we know, is pretty tough.
Right.
So you might not need to treat necessarily on Bermuda grass.
Right. If it's becoming a problem, then yeah, we would suggest treating. Otherwise, probably the damage isn't going to be to an extent where you would feel like you would need to.
Okay.
But at times, if you have a large infestation in some of your grain crops or something like that, the problem will be a lot more defined for turf grass as well that year. So in those years, probably would need to treat. Other times you might need to treat as if it is a high maintenance grass, such as like a putting green or something like that, even though their preference normally seems to go more towards the warm season grass.
Okay, and what do we need to treat with?
There's multiple products out there. A lot of your old standards, such as 7, can do it, and then I believe there's also a few other chemicals that are available through your local retailers that would treat that.
And of course, we always want to make sure we read the label,
right,
and use those as appropriate. Okay, well, thank you for sharing this with us.
You're welcome.
We hope you enjoyed this video. It's part of our Oklahoma Gardening YouTube channel. You can also find even more videos on our OK Gardening Classics YouTube channel. And join us on social media for great gardening tips, photos, and discussion.